What's going on YouTube? Welcome to another video. We're doing our wide grip bench here today and on our usual bench, so no band needed. Getting nice and tight, be able to drive through. And honestly, when you're benching, you don't want a crappy bench. You want somewhere where you can drive your legs, get your legs underneath, and you also want something that's going to give you feedback, allow you to sit into it, get tight, and kind of go from there. So really glad that this gym has it. I can bench on any other bench too, though. It just requires some modifications. So this one is, enough feedback where I don't have to set or think about it too much. So really springy and able to do what we need to do. So just kind of working up here. And again, if you watch the videos, you'll know what the usual warm-ups are. Be strategic in your warm-ups. Pick weights that are going to get you to where you need to be. Make those bigger jumps when you need it. And then when you start approaching that working set, kind of like what I do here, I'll kind of taper off and just, you don't need to do reps on reps to get warmed up. It's just to acclimate your nervous system to the weights. And then when you get there, it's time to work. And usually once that first set is done, body's all set. And then you got to do what you got to do. So big believer in being strategic with your training. Obviously the bench press is for strength. Now you can do rep work with it, but I think that there are better bodybuilding movements for that. But I want to maintain the strength I have. So I want to be able to emulate that on the dumbbells, the barbells, etc. And then that's why we do all the fun bodybuilding stuff after the fact. And I don't know why I just let that sit there for that long. But yeah, going from there. And, just trying to figure out what's the most efficient thing for me, though. And I could just do heavy sets of bench all day, though. And that would benefit you to some degree, though. But in order to really tap into that bodybuilding aspect and get size, you do need to do the rep work with moderate weights and then different ranges of motion. So with the dumbbell bench, you're always going to get a little bit more range of motion. You're always going to get a little bit more of a contraction. Now, you're not going to be able to do as much weight because a 280-pound dumbbell would be quite substantial in size, and there's a trade-off where the size begins to negate the range of motion. So you got to just kind of figure out what's good for you, treat them as separate movements, and just kind of go from there. So always, using it as a motivation to kind of work up. With dumbbells, you're going to make those 5-10-pound jumps, so it's more substantial, more, balance and consistency needed in order to press them. So you're not going to be able to make as much progress compared to the barbells, like if you can just throw on like a 2.5, and that whole system is different because you've got 2 points of contact with your body and you're maneuvering that weight. Here, you got to treat each one independent. It's good for balance, good for stability, and they work in tandem with each other. Same thing for the dumbbell OHP. So just do both, do the mix. Use them for different reasons. Use the barbells for strength, and then use the dumbbells for, hypertrophy or like that mid-range, kind of a power building type of space, or, maybe your shoulders hurt and can't get in position. Pick up the dumbbells, go from there. They're all just tools to get the stimulus that you need. And, through training, you'll be able to decide what works for you, what doesn't, and then optimize that. Figure out what rep ranges. You can vary rep ranges and kind of go from there. So one size doesn't fit all with training, but there are some basics and fundamentals that will follow through. And those fundamentals are these big compounds. If you move weight on these, you're going to show it in your physique, assuming you're healthy. You're going to have that structure, muscle mass, and that base that we kind of talk about. And then when you get into more strategic stuff, like these cable flies, you're going to find different angles that work for you. You could do the pec deck. You could do the incline fly that I usually show. It just depends on whatever feels good. And for me, I like some variety. So if I do the same movement too many times, there is a fatigue because I like to hit certain threshold and ranges. So I'll vary these and kind of figure out where I want to be. And even like the reverse pec deck. This is something I've literally never used a pec deck in my life until, I want to say, this video. So it took some time to figure out what my settings are, and I'm going to have to get better at it, which is weird because it's a machine. It kind of controls the movement for you, and you just have to set yourself up. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve here, especially when I start doing the pec deck flies too. It's just different compared to, what I'm used to. So it's a funny little tidbit there. All right, going on the SSB again here, leg day, and we're back in this other rack here. And same old, same old. Trying to figure out if I'm using the heel shoes or the flats. It looked like flats to me, yeah. So, okay, I didn't transition fully yet, But I am transitioning full time to the Addy Powers and the heel chews just to make it easier to get used to the Vans of the flats. And it's just making it easier to get the depth and do what I need to do, less stress, because I know there's a lot more warming up when I am. There's a lot more warming up when it comes to mobility because of that angle. I have to stretch out a little bit more, and I can almost sit into a squat with that new sort of squat when I wear the heeled shoes. And so whatever's going to give you a little bit more longevity and make you more efficient, I would just go with that. I'm also more upright with the heeled shoes too, so I shied away from them because I was exaggerating the range of motion and got some knee issues. But I brought them back and things seem to be fine. I'm kind of monitoring and mitigating that. So I don't know if it's cyclic, but I'm going to stick with it. I think I've kind of mentioned it in a bunch of videos so far. But yeah, we're going to keep training and we're going to do what we need to do. With the SSB though, those handles really do allow me to keep my balance and get to a position I need to be in. So grateful for that. And I'm just going to keep running it, be consistent, and try to pick those cues and mechanics that I learned by actually using it to modify my form and get to a spot that will be beneficial for me. So yeah, it's just a lot of times like you can tell anybody cues, you can tell them the answer to a movement, but if it doesn't resonate, if it doesn't register, if you have no experience to apply that information, it doesn't matter. You have to put time under the bar. You have to put time in whatever you're doing to be able to apply that. A lot of times those inferences that people get and they tell you, keep your chest up or whatever, but what they don't tell you is it's not keep your chest up, it's keep your back tight, tense, and brace it, right? But if you say chest, it's easier to put your chest up. You'll naturally kind of, retract the shoulder blades and scapula and get into position there. But you wouldn't have figured that out unless you would have gone through the workouts to learn all that. So that's something that I'm working on here. And I have picked up some sort of adduction issues that I may have to work on, which may be responsible for the tightness here. So I'm going to start addressing those. Again, I'm saying that in the future. This is like 2 months ago when it comes to training. So they'll be implemented in future videos. You won't see those for a while, but I'll kind of comment on them as I, go forward and kind of see there. So deadlifts here, still going beltless and not moving as well as I thought they would. So you can kind of tell some fatigue going on. And a lot of times, like with the transition of seasons and training and allergies can affect how I move. And for me, it's a confidence thing. When the weight is moving off the ground, I'm in a good spot, but you'll see some struggle and stuff here, but still doing the movements to prime that CNS and then trying to mitigate those. And then if I have to taper back, I will come back. I will, reduce weight or just hit the weight for reps that I can. And then the next time the program calls for, more or less weight, adjust going forward. As long as I'm trending in that positive direction, that's fine with me. There's some days where deadlifts are moving and like butter and feel like PR days on any lift really, and there's other days where you're dreading. I look forward to deadlifting, but if I pull and it is an issue, I'm not too happy about it. So just kind of going from there. Swing squat here. This time I didn't use the hip circle or whatever the generic term is. I'm trying to control this, but yeah, with the Addy powers, and I try to go full range of motion, but it's getting uncomfortable, so I think I'm going to drop these. If I start doing these, I'm going to have to go wide, or I'm going to have to start limiting my range of motion. But I really like sinking squat, feeling a stretch, and then coming back up. But when I'm in that hole, I feel like I have zero power. So I don't know. It's a gift and a curse of having these like long lower legs, and don't do that what I just did. Like shift your legs as you're bracing. So it may be better if I put my feet up though, but I don't want to end up in a position where I'm stuck. So I'm just trying to not kill myself on this thing. And it's a different curvature. It's something you have to learn. A lot of these machines, they're great though, because the quad pump was insane, but you have to learn the range of motion and then, especially in relation to your own body. So I kind of went narrower here, and you can see my feet are kind of rotated out. But what I should have gone is wider laterally, right? So left leg move over maybe 2 to 3 inches, right leg same thing, and then really sit deeper into the hole. But I am like a narrow stance squatter. I just feel safer that way, feel more confident. But I don't know, we'll see here. So I'm going to, I'm just gonna kind of go from there and play around. If I need to bring the bands back, it's a tool I can use, but I probably won't likely do it. So, it is what it is. But yeah, it's good to have more tools than none, because then you can kind of mess around, or you can use different thresholds and intensities. But good old lying leg curl here. So that's the workout. Take a look, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching the latest video. If you want to help support the channel, I actually own my own wet shaving and grooming e-commerce website where everything's handmade by me. It's www.apexsoaps.com, and you can get a 10% off code using wet shaver. We've got some cool scents here. We've got some Coca-Cola scents, a horchata scent, traditional barbershop, just some really cool stuff. And you can purchase samples or you can buy the whole set. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out via email. Be quick to respond. Thanks for watching.